Okay, great. So Landit. So our goal is to create a personalized playbook for every woman seeking to move her career forward. And it's really looking at the millions of women who will find themselves at an inflection point. And that could be they're in a company and they're just trying to figure out how to more successfully navigate, or maybe they're somewhere feeling stuck, which is where I was, and they don't know how to get out of it, or maybe they're looking for what's next. And realizing that as you progress in your career, the more challenging those inflection points become, so much so that as we sit here today, the largest number of professional, educated women not firing on all cylinders, but they want to be. On the other side, you have companies saying, I'd love to hire more women, I can't seem to find them, but more importantly, when I do, how do I invest in their retention and development? And so we view this as a market failure, and we set out to knit together essentially not only a way for more relevant connection, but what would be that playbook? What do the guys know that enable more successful pathing? So consider this. Most women start off their careers with high expectations and aspirations, and within 2 years, there's a 60% drop. And that's because of due to support, lack of support or access. So our big audacious goal is to democratize career success. And we do that through engagement, access, and optimizing the women's experience. And it comes out of my own experience. I'm a chemical engineer by training, gives me lots of street cred with my teenage boys. Ended up in my last career being a venture capitalist for over 12 years and found myself at an inflection point where I wanted to combine what I love with my passion, and that's when I got stuck. Because I had no idea what that looked like. Everyone expected me to. It felt horrible, and you think you're the only one. But we realized that there are millions of women who will find themselves in many ways suffering in silence. And so my co-founder, Sheila Marcello, who is the founder and CEO of Care.com, we were classmates at business school. We had the distinction of both being there with our husbands, so we had 2 for the price of 2 at HBS. But we decided to combine forces and go after this with the same scale, urgency, and metrics. And we convinced some advisors to come along with us. So we have Paul English, who was the founder of Kayak, Oscar, founder of Uber, Blair, who was the CMO of Cisco, who actually just joined us about 3 months ago. And Leanne is interesting because she runs all of human capital products for Workday. And we brought along some investors as well. So we have Tony Florence from NEA, Female Founders Fund, Skip Battle, Peggy Koenig, so a really good group of investors for our seed fund. So the pain point is, where do I start? So it's not a matter of skill or track record or motivation. It is that how do I connect with the skills and the resources and the humans that I need on a relevant basis? So meet Emily. So Emily's at a company. She's doing well, she has a great track record, but these are the questions that come up for her. Where do I start? How do I have these conversations? How do I continue to grow and develop my skills? Maybe how do I raise my profile? Because so many women think that if they work really hard and keep their head down, that's all that's required, and that's not how the world works. And maybe how do I find a coach? Because it's often reserved for someone in the C-suite on their way at $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. And we bring that earlier on to anyone on the platform. But she sure as heck doesn't want you to know she's feeling vulnerable, but she's trying to figure out what's next. Or someone who's been doing the same thing for 10 years and doesn't want to do it anymore and is trying to figure out what else can she do. And maybe while she's been bouncing everything, she's been neglectful for a board of advisors. Same thing, I'm feeling vulnerable. I don't want you to know, but I'm panicked inside. 43 million women in the US alone will find themselves in one of these positions. So we make up 51% of the workforce, but we don't progress. And they say it's because women have children. Well, that's not the case, because 60% of us, myself included, work past the birth of our second child. 90% of us encounter workplace navigation issues. Only 36% of women from top-tier schools are working full-on, but 89% of us want to, but only 40% succeed. And then you have the millennials with their 6.2 jobs by the time they're 27, an awful lot of velocity. And if we were to just increase by 5% kind of women firing on all cylinders, the impact is enormous. And we know from Landit that this is a universal issue. So we literally have women on every landmass except for Greenland. I don't know why they're hating on us. It's my personal goal to get someone in Greenland, but we're everywhere else. And in that prime kind of time of your career, kind of mid-20s to the 50s. My mother loves this slide. So the solution. So we use technology and humans to knit together a one-size-fits-one solution that paths someone. What are those habits for success? So we start out by finding out about you, because you can't be relevant if you don't know anything about her. And we map that to either skill development or even opportunities. We get a lot of attention in the press for how we help people think about their board of advisors. So I mentioned to you about coaching and bringing that, but everybody thinks about a sponsor or a mentor. It's not about a mentor, it's who's your sponsor, who's your connector, who's your point expert. And we help you have the right ask of the right person at the right cadence. And then we curate, because we know so much about her, and we know where she's trying to go, what are the paths and what is the skills that she needs to get there. And then there's this personal brand. It's women notoriously undersell themselves. It accounts for 30% of your success. So we've determined what are the 12 most important things that anybody needs. Things like, do you keep track of your weekly accomplishments or do you suffer from LIFO? And we essentially path her to how do you do that more successfully. And for companies, what they see is not only increased engagement and retention, but it puts the power and the onus on the person to move their career forward. But the company benefits from all the data analytics that they can actually action on. And they typically either give this or invest in people already on a leadership track, or maybe it's their high potential. More often than not, it's the forgotten middle. So you join a company, you get lots of snacks and lots of love, and then after that, it's hit or miss. So we enable them to invest at scale by essentially just giving us the email. And so it's an annual membership. They get all of our tools, plus we bundle services like coaching, et cetera, and we actually help them with their transparent, less biased mapping internally. And here are some of our companies, so BBVA, BlackRock, Fitbit, Oscar, et cetera, who invest at scale globally in the women in their workforce. And so how we're different, we are a one-stop destination in that we knit together those key elements for success. It truly is if you have your own personal concierge giving you a loving nudge. So it is a one-size-fits-one. And it's tremendous leverage for the companies because they can't, even if they wanted to, manage and touch all the lives that they want to, and we enable them to do that. And then the beauty of all this is that the data is incredible. So we know not only the criteria that women use to make their life decisions, but their career decisions, because how do you separate the two? I know that I cannot. And it is about enabling companies to create a compelling experience that unlocks the talent of everyone in their workforce. Because when you have what you need, when you need it, that's how you land it. I want all 6 seconds left. And that's Landit. Thank you.